Hey all, Grolo here. Welcome to this week's Back in Focus, number 13, where we look back a week or so, look for trends or standout topics in gaming and tech, and we dig into it. This week we're going to talk about cooking a game. And as part of that discussion, we're going to talk about the difference between simple and easy, hard and complex, because while we're going to start with how Blizzard is cooking retail WoW, I hope to show you how this connects to the currents in the broader gaming industry and, in fact, software development more broadly. And we're going to look at examples where I'm hopeful it is not happening. Before we get into all of that, I have a few quick news items from last week. One, there was some discussion about flight blades on Spectrum. These are not AI blades. It seems to be more along the line of offering ship tuning, which they discussed quite a while back. It's kind of another facet to engineering. Lots of hoopla about these. To me, sounds cool, and that's about all I got on the topic. Jump into the comments if you got more or stronger opinions. At least their plan is starting to come into focus for me, like limited CPU slots, forcing you to choose between automation or improved chip performance. I think trade-offs like these are good ideas in general. I still have concerns around automation, but we'll dig into that further in a future video. Okay, number 2. The Ashes of Creation Fresh Start server is underway. It's been a freaking lag fest so far, but they're breaking records for Unreal Engine 5 when it comes to concurrent players. All they got to do now is make it run well so that, I don't fall from the forest into the desert and teleport back again whenever I'm crossing a server boundary line. If you're looking for some folks to share the pain with, dig into it with, come join the Discord. We got you covered. Fair warning, it may be wiping or offering another fresh start experience in August whenever Alpha 2 Phase 3 lands, but if you're here watching this channel, you're probably used to wipes, so what's it matter? Come have some fun. Quick news item number 3. The Dune Awakening beta kicks off this weekend on Friday. It'll run for the weekend. We got a bunch of folks queued up for this too, and ultimately for the release in early June. So, Dune has made some interesting server architecture choices. I'll probably discuss it more in depth once I get my hands on it. Looking forward to that. All right, now on to how to cook a game. The main character in this story is Blizzard Entertainment. And speaking of Blizzard, I have one more derailment. Remember the Discord videos I did a short time ago? I reacted to Bellular News, and I provided a bunch of my own commentary on Discord and gaming platforms, Twitch, Steam, all of that. And we discussed the pending enshittification of Discord as it marches towards its IPO and once it becomes a public company. Well, in case you missed it, its founder is stepping aside, and who's taking on the helm? None other than former Blizzard Activision executive. All right. We've got the kings of enshittification at the helm now, people. What could go wrong from here? Eh? I'm anticipating a lot. The even bigger question is, how much will we tolerate? Sadly, I'm also anticipating a lot. But back to Blizzard. Turns out the retail version of World of Warcraft is hard. Or is it complex? Either way, they want to offer something more approachable. Simple, perhaps. This all seems to be taking place and happening in the context of Blizzard taking aim at add-ons, at least according to Bellular News.
Welcome back, everyone. Today's news is absolutely goddamn huge because Blizzard just committed to replacing combat add-ons in WoW. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Now, Ian doesn't say it outright, but over the course of this 45-minute Wowcast with Dratnos and Max, he makes it very clear indeed. They kind of don't want you using combat add-ons. At least they don't want you to feel like you need them. In fact, in the future, they may even kill them. That means weak auras, deadly boss mods, details, and it also means Hikili and GSE. But before they pull the trigger, they know they need to make sure that, well, when they pull it, they won't miss. And in patch 11.1.7, they're starting the process in a fairly major way. Coming in the patch, which we expect to be late June, there's a new feature called Rotation Assist, and it does one very simple thing. It highlights the next button that you should press on your bars. Now, Ian actually said that this will be manually updated based on the latest theory crafting, and that it will even detect the number of targets nearby, and it will also consider your selected talents. Which is wild, and it basically is Hikili completely dealt with as a thing. But they're actually killing two birds with one stone here. This also has a single button assistant with it. I've seen a lot of the reactions to this. Really, it's fairly interesting. It's an accessibility feature. I think it's kind of sick. So, it does exactly what it basically sounds like. When 11.1.7 drops in, you'll be able to play WoW as a DPS with just one button. Yes, cue all the memes.
That's right. One button rotations. Now, as you may or may not know, I am a huge fan of gadgets, and especially input devices. I have a huge collection of keyboards and mice and keypads and controllers and flight sticks and throttles and pedals. I've got regular mice, MMO mice, vertical mice. I've got a keypad that looks like Dr. Claw. I've got one that looks like a sporty gear shift, and so when I saw this news about retail WoW, I rushed out and I got the perfect input device for that game as well. Just in case I ever played it again, which I won't, but any reason to buy a gadget. What do you think? I think this thing is basically custom built for the new patch. By the way, for the rest of Bellular News' great take, you'll find the link to his full video below. I want to get into what I think about this, and I was going to bust out the whiteboard, but another popular content creator already did that for me. So let's just look at his take quick, and then we'll compare, contrast, and get into this a little further.
So because, okay, so this is what would happen, right? Is that, so the red line is the artificial one button DPS. And this is manual. So if you are inside of this area here, you will be told by your raid leader, just turn on the one button mode, stop trying to play the game yourself. And if you're not in this mode and you're over here, you're going to be told to do it yourself. How the fuck? Like, these are the best players that have played the game for 20 years. How the fuck do you guys not see this obvious graph?
Okay, so what is it? Is this an amazing accessibility feature? Is it the total and complete cooking of World of Warcraft? The way I see it is, yes, it's a good accessibility feature for a manufactured problem. It's a whole lot of over-engineering, and I do not use that phrase lightly, because I happen to believe it's way overused. And yes, it's absolutely perpetuating the cooking of the game. Let's talk about why. To start, let's hone in on what I opened with. I said, the retail version of WoW is hard. Or is it complex? There's a big difference. There exists a spectrum between easy and hard, and there exists a spectrum between simple and complex. All too often in tech, like the general field of tech, I hear these terms used interchangeably, especially easy and simple. I'll hear a product manager or project manager say, let's just do what's easy. Or they'll say, keep it simple. But what they really mean is, let's spend as little time as possible in this thing, which implies do the easy thing. Steve Jobs is credited with this quote. It says, simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. Now, over the years, I think I've shortened this in my mind because I had to look that quote up. Or perhaps someone else said this, but the way I remember this in my mind is making something simple is damn hard work. I think that's a much simpler way of saying that. It's the kind of work that companies generally, and especially public ones, do not want to do. Hence the concerns about enshittification, like with Discord. But back to the topic at hand. In the context of gaming, or really anything, complexity may be not that bad. You may want to provide a game with a lot of complexity to your users. You may want to give them a hard game. You may want to give them something on the easier side, or the simpler side. This all has to do with audience and stuff I am no expert on. But there's plenty of examples, right? Like, Missile Command, for anyone old enough to remember, was a very simple game that could get pretty damn hard at the later levels. At least for me. I'll admit it. For those not old enough to remember, Missile Command was just like, you controlled this little cursor on the screen with your joystick, and you pushed a button to fire a shot to try to defend your city against missiles. That's all you had to do. Move a cursor and shoot. Right. What are some modern examples? I don't know, like Angry Birds, Candy Crush. I did play Angry Birds. I felt like that one got hard at the later levels too. But it was a very simple game. I don't know about Candy Crush. I think I played it once. Does it get hard? It definitely seems simple to me. What about the other way? Like, what are some complex titles that range from easy to hard? The Civ games, I always felt, had a good bit of complexity to them while being fairly easy. I haven't played the last few, though, so your mileage may vary. Baldur's Gate 3. You know, I think that's definitely a good example of a game that has a good amount of complexity, and it's on the easy side. And it was enjoyable as hell. What about Star Citizen? Star Citizen is pretty simple, but its scope makes it hard, right? You basically have FPS controls with an interact key, and then everything else builds on that, right? It's quite simple, but learning everything you can do with that, from hand mining to ship mining to flying ships and all the controls on ships and everything else, like, the scope itself is hard, even though the interface to the game is simple. What else? PAX Day. PAX Day would be another game with a simple interface, medium difficulty, I would say. Now, as you know, I'm a platform guy. Sometimes in systems, you have complex problems that demand complex solutions. This is a case where complexity is not unwarranted, and it's like the testament to a good solution is how well you manage that complexity. But sometimes you have a simple problem for which people create complex solutions. You devs in the crowd, I know you know what I'm talking about right now. And that is where this update from Blizzard sits with me. A very complicated, over-engineered solution to a simple problem. And for what it's worth, I 1000% agree with declaring war on add-ons. I think in the day and age that WoW shipped, add-ons were not a terrible idea. But it's resulted, first of all, it's resulted in a lot of interesting innovation from the community, and that part is very cool. But it's also utterly destroyed the new player experience. Now, cue the jokes about new players in WoW, but this is part of the reason, right? Now, that said, there's a reason these add-ons exist, because Blizzard has completely failed to provide a functional, out-of-the-box user experience. And because the game is complex as hell, these add-ons are trying to rein that complexity in the best way that they can. And I'm not accusing the add-on authors of over-engineering or solving the problems in a poor manner. Quite the opposite. These folks are doing amazing work, given what they're working with. But Blizzard owns the damn game. They're sitting on the code. They can do whatever they want with it. And they're choosing to solve gameplay and systems that are overly complex with another layer on top of them that abstracts over that complexity with one button. And they now have to maintain an additional layer. They even said it would be manually updated with the latest theory of crafting, and so... Okay. One, you create a rotation and a set of spells and buffs and debuffs and effects and encounters that are too complex for the player base that you want to market the game to. And then you create a layer that abstracts over that. One that will require its own maintenance. It'll be another kink in the system, another point of tension in the community, another of everything. That would be like, hey, we have this system and it generates this file every night that our partner needs, but they have no way of downloading it, right? And you're like, okay, we're going to break this file up into like a bunch of 100-byte chunks. And we're going to send each chunk in a separate email to the partner. And then we're going to have the partner install a program on their PC that checks their email for them and automatically pulls the chunks out of each email, deletes the email, and reassembles the chunks into a complete file, and then puts that complete file on their desktop when it's done. And then it'll send them an email to let them know that it's there on their desktop for them. And then everybody's standing around being like, yeah, that's cool, that's nice. That's a lot more accessible. Or we could just simplify the freaking game. Obviously, Blizzard does not want to require a high level of skill to play the game. So why are they starting at a point and working their way back? Remember in Classic WoW how a Warlock could cast like 2 or 3 different spells to do maximum damage? Or they could just cast one spell, Shadow Bolt, to do like 90% of the maximum damage? If only there was something there we could use as inspiration. Wait. I think I got it. What if we created a rotation where the primary spammable ability did 80% of the target damage for your class? But if you got fancy and like incorporated the rest of the spells, you could gain like another 20%. Right? Isn't that the same? If that's not the same damn thing Blizzard is trying to achieve with this added layer of complexity, please explain to me why it's not in the comments below. And be prepared for a debate, which I love and I hope you do too. But the reality is that refactoring all of these spells and rotations, that would be hard work. It goes back to the quotes above. Making something simple is damn hard work. It would be disruptive. It would require a lot of patching and iteration. It's not going to be something you can get done in like a quarter to please the bean counters. What you can get done in a short amount of time is you can add another layer of complexity. Another layer that you got to maintain. You can bloat the code base with more complexity. Fuck it. You're still making money, baby. And that, my friends, is how you cook a game. It's how you cook a platform. It's how you cook anything you want to cook. The next time your project manager tells you to keep it simple, and you damn well know what they're asking you to do is the fucking easy thing, do me a favor and yourself and explain the difference to them. More people need to get it. Because my God, this shit is plaguing the gaming industry. It doesn't stop there. It plagues corporate America. It plagues big tech. It's just become like this pervasive drag on like everything. We need to stop the shitification. Thankfully, we have some exceptions. Star Citizen has chosen to do damn near everything the hard way. And they've been keeping the user experience pretty simple. My entire time playing, it's changed almost not at all. Kudos to them. Don't stop, guys. Please don't stop. You're one of the last. Now, of course, that does not come free, right? Everything's a trade-off. We always say that on this channel. The cost is time, you know? But I'll pay it, gladly. PAX Day, I mentioned them too, right? Kudos to you guys. Y'all are doing good work. Ashes? Jury's still out, Steven. But I'm gonna keep rooting for you. I'm enjoying the fresh start. As jank as the stress test has been, it's still fun. What's on your list? Who and what do you think is not doing you dirty? I want to hear success stories about the places, the products, the teams that are doing it right. Hit me in the comments. Let's celebrate the people who are not cutting corners for a change. Let's go. I'll see you there. I can't wait. Till then, this is all I got. I want you all to take care. Have a great rest of your week. And Grolo out.